Hello, I'm so happy I got a hold of you. Welcome back to another exciting episode of LT Showcase. I am Lucious T, and this week we are taking a look at Control for the PS4. Beta T talking about Control, huh? Too bad he doesn't have more of that in the bedroom, am I right? I'm talking about premature ejaculation. Now, how did I play this without opening it? Well, you're about to find out.
There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. I'm Lucious T. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life. This is Retroactive.
Control I first saw at, I want to say, E3 2018 in Microsoft's E3 or 2019. Whatever it was, it looked interesting, but it also looked a little generic. It was, the visuals weren't very clear, but then you had a cool female protagonist going through and throwing stuff and gunplay. But I was like, is this going to be another shooter, whatnot? I didn't even know at the time that it was made by Remedy Studios, and Remedy made one of my favorite games of all time, Alan Wake. Favorite game of all time, say you? Well then why wasn't it on your top 50 games of all time? I call it phony. Phony! This man hasn't even played a video game. Alan Wake, which sadly has never gotten a sequel, even though it got that bullshit side story, is the company who made this, which they also made Quantum Break, which I haven't played yet either. Now, they're known for making very weird visual storytelling and this off-the-wall games. So that's what I got into when I started this game, because I heard nothing but praise. Now, I bought this, but I ended up playing the PS Plus download version because it had all the DLC. Yeah, this was February's download. And immediately I was struck with how fluid the gameplay felt. You have a gun that can transform into other guns, but you can only carry 2 at the same time. And the way you unlock the other guns is you have to build them by finding stuff hidden throughout the different rooms. Now, it's about a 10-12 hour experience. The first 3 hours of the game, when you're gathering all your abilities, is amazing. Because you go and you're like, oh my god, I got the ability to dash. I get the ability to mind control people. I get the ability to launch like in Dead Space. I get the ability to use a shield. Alright, well, this doesn't look too bad. All this repetition and this fast getting new abilities is supremely satisfying. But then around midpoint you get into a lull in the game where it's in a place called the Oldest House for the Federal Bureau of Control, whatever the hell that is. They seem to be some sort of Men in Black bureau that handles paranormal activity and almost parallel universe astral plane type events, which once again tying into Alan Wake, is this going to explain where those shadow people came from. In this world they have something called the Hiss, although your character names it the Hiss and then suddenly everyone in the building, even people you haven't met yet, are just referring to it as the Hiss. I don't know, I mean, the Hiss is very catchy. I mean, it's like calling someone it's much better than calling someone a shadow version of yourself. Well, at least they're being original. Hint. Even the main bad guy calls himself or calls the thing the Hiss. Will that make me the Hiss version of you? Well, I am pretty badass. Now, you as the main character become the director of the Federal Bureau of Control because you pick up a gun. And it's unclear of how you got in. You have some sort of entity in the back of your mind called Polaris that you got when you were a kid, when you and your little brother were separated. Your little brother was taken by the Bureau of Control, and so that's what you've spent the last 17 or so years trying to find him, and now you finally got in there, and the janitor's some cool guy who lets you in the door, and I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. Like I said, the story is one thing, but it's good. I mean, it's definitely Remedy to a T. It's not quite as grounded as Alan Wake, but it's cool. The way I would say is this game feels very similar to something like Inception, which we'll get into later. It really hits that out of the park later, but let's focus on the real shining stars, which is the combat. The gunplay is great. There's a zoom in ability, but I really feel like they don't want you to zoom. I think it's more geared towards just running and gunning, because you have pretty good control of the gunplay while you're running and gunning. The two guns I ended up using the most was just the standard pistol and then the charge beam. The charging shot was just so effective for breaking through shields, although you can also launch enemies into others, and later in the game you get the ability to levitate, which is cool, so you can do cool aerial. Like, just as your character evolves, you just become such a badass that even as the game starts throwing you more difficult enemies and more kind of crazy scenarios, you handle them in stride. But the one thing I will say is that you are a glass cannon. You go from alive to dead very quickly. And the way you get health back is by being aggressive. So you get health from killing enemies. That's the only way I can see that you get it, other than going to control points, which allow you to fast travel. They also give you health and work as checkpoints. But you can't heal mid-battle. So you have to go in kind of like Doom and go guns blazing. But you can get your health bar just dropped. Just like that, and it's over, and then you have to deal with a really long load time, and the game will shoot you back to the nearest control point, which is your save spots, checkpoints. That's also where it allows you to upgrade your armor, upgrade your weapons, unlock weapons, spend ability points, which the ability point tree is really weird because the first set is all 1 points, and then they're 3 points, and they're 2 points. Like, it's not a through line. And by the end of the game, I only got halfway through all of the abilities. I got nowhere near to all of it, which I guess is by design. I don't know how you get the ability points, because I would just randomly get to a control point and have 3 or 4, and wasn't sure how that happened. Maybe it's only gotten from finishing missions, which, you'll get timed missions, and then you'll get random missions that show up out of the blue, and you can go after them, or you can stick to the main story mission. After a while, I just started sticking to the main story mission because my main complaint is, besides the long load times when you die, and besides, if you do go back when you die, it does do a nice thing where it saves the progress you made going forward to a time. So if you're working through 3 big rooms of enemies, if you killed the first room and the second room and then died in the third room, the first and second room for the most part will be empty, or they will just send a little paltry force at you, nothing huge, before you get to the third one. So if it has that level of checkpoint system, why can't it just start you closer? Because some of the times, especially if you miss some of the save spots, getting back to where you were at is a bitch. Especially because those random generated enemies can sometimes show up again in the middle of your way back to where you got the first time. But anyways, my main complaint is that the oldest house is very boring looking. It really starts to feel like it's all mechanical, this and that, and the map system is not good. The maps are very small on the screen. You're a tiny little red arrow, and they're layered, but you can't really tell how the layers work while you're looking at it. So navigating around when it's just a flat, A to B, nothing on top, no rooms or no floors, that's relatively easy. But finding your way around and finding the entrances, like you might see a corridor going over the main walkway, but the only way you can access it is actually from above or below or from a different room, and it just makes navigating such a pain in the ass. Like, they'll tell you which mission is in which room, but sometimes you'll have no idea how to get that room, or you're in that room and you have no idea where it is, which, I complain a lot about games holding your hand too much, showing waypoints on the screen, which I'm glad they don't do here, but that is just one thing that was so bad. And then the way everything looks like the same building, it just gets tired and over. And then the astral plane looks like an astral plane I've seen in so many games. Like, I've been doing this since, Assassin's Creed back in the early 2010, whatever. Like, it's always stark white with black blocks or whatever. I mean, at least Astral Chain made it neon. But it's still not without merit. The combat is still very good. You feel awesome. It's just you're a glass cannon. If you get caught, you get got, and it sucks. So I usually focus more on giving myself health. There's mods you pick up for your guns and your health. I didn't really look at any of them. I just went with whatever one was the highest level. You get key cards to unlock different doors. It's kind of like a Metroidvania in that regard, where you have to remember, oh, there was a door I didn't get in here, but generally you get in that door and it's maybe just another weapon mod or a file folder, which there's a lot of folders. A lot of the story is through these folders, which that's kind of where one of the Alan Wake Easter eggs is. They talk about, they have these things called objects of power. So objects of power allow you to get these abilities. So the ability to dash, the ability to this, as the director. Because you become the director when you walk in and the previous director shoots himself in the head and you pick up his gun and then bam, you're the director. There's more to it than that. I won't spoil why you were able to become the director so easily. It is explained. It's not just, whoever has the talking stick, you'll director, man. There's reason to it. And this game has one of the coolest sequences I have ever experienced in a game. Right towards the end is something called the Ash Maze, or the Ashford Maze, or the Ashtray Maze. I think that's what it is. The Ashtray Maze. And I'm not going to spoil it. Just play it. Just play it. It is such a great sequence. It is up there with things that I'm going to remember, as far as, the train sequence in Uncharted 2, or, the turbo tunnel, like things that you think of when you think of games. This is a sequence I will hang my hat on, that I will always remember from Control. So hats off to Remedy for putting such an amazing sequence in the game. I would have liked to see a little bit more of this, a little bit more diversity of the rooms, instead of everything just feeling like I'm in a drab office building. Like, yeah, it makes sense, but also this is some weird astral plane place. I mean, you can make it look more than just an office building. But anyways, if I'm going to give it a rating, I can give it an 8. It's still, the long load times on some of the difficult encounters were annoying. There's the story is kind of but the actual gameplay is solid. I love to see where they go with this and see it evolve some more, because it was really, really fun to do. Maybe if they bring Alan Wake back and they have some of this style to the game, that'd be a freaking home run. Anyways, it's been so nice getting a hold of you guys. Take care. I hear saying, that makes him go all troglodyte, yeah, well, that'd be pretty cool. What if I start doing that just throughout the video? Just randomly you cut to me and I'll be like, troglodyte, going on, I'm doing on laundry, on copper, copper, copper. Try it. I bet you'll be a big hit.